In 2023, Dodge sold the loudest, most gloriously stupid muscle cars in America. Cars with names like Hellcat and Demon, making a 900 horsepower statement. 2 years later, that same brand sold 240 electric muscle cars in a single quarter. Not a typo. 240 nationwide in 3 months. This is how the loudest brand in America nearly deleted itself. Not by economics, but by confusing the engine for the identity. To understand how far Dodge fell, you have to remember how high it stood. For years, the whole brand was built on one thing: the V8, the Charger and the Challenger, a 4-door and a 2-door sharing the same snarling attitude, were the last true American muscle cars you could still buy brand new. They were not efficient. They were not sensible. That was the entire point. Nobody bought a Hellcat because it made sense. They bought it because it made noise, and because owning one made you part of something. Even in their final stretch, with both cars officially on death row, Dodge still moved more than 20,000 Chargers and Challengers combined in a single quarter, and around 35,000 Chargers in the model's last full year. That is one of the most powerful identities in the entire car industry. Now watch what Dodge did with it. At the end of 2023, Dodge killed the gas Charger and the gas Challenger. Both gone. The plan was to replace 15 years of V8 muscle with something completely new, an all-electric muscle car called the Charger Daytona. And here is the decision that broke everything. Dodge launched the electric one first, before the gas replacement. Before giving its most loyal buyers anything familiar to hold on to, it led with the battery. Think about who that buyer actually is. This is the most V8 loyal, gasoline-worshipping audience in the entire industry. And Dodge's message to them was, the thing you love is dead, and here is a silent electric one instead. It did not ease its tribe into the future. It slammed the door on the past and hoped nobody would mind. They minded. And here is where the numbers start telling the story better than any argument could. In the first quarter of 2025, Dodge sold 1,947 electric Charger Daytonas. That sounds survivable, until you see what it sold beside them. In that same quarter, Dodge sold just over 1,000 gas Chargers and around 900 Challengers. Cars that had been out of production since late 2023, cars you physically could not order new. Add the ghosts together, and roughly 1,900 discontinued gas muscle cars outsold the 1,947 brand new electric ones. Dodge's dead cars nearly beat its future car. The electric Daytona was averaging about 22 sales a day across the entire country. In that same window, Ford sold over 9,000 Mustangs. Given a choice between a gas muscle car Dodge did not even want to sell anymore and the electric future it was betting the whole brand on, buyers chose the Ghost. That one quarter was just a symptom. The full picture is a collapse. In the first quarter of 2025, total Dodge sales fell 49% year over year, cut nearly in half. The Charger was down 90%. The Challenger down 91%. To put that in perspective, Dodge once sold more than 11,000 Challenger coupes in a single quarter back in 2023. Not one single model in the entire lineup went up. Across all of 2025, Dodge sales dropped 28%, falling from 141,000 vehicles to 101,000. The electric Charger Daytona, the car meant to carry the entire brand into the future, managed just 7,400 for the whole year, and once the federal EV tax credit expired, it nearly flatlined, selling only 346 in the final quarter. And it was not just the muscle car. The Hornet, Dodge's attempt at a compact SUV to pull in fresh, mainstream buyers, collapsed by more than half to under 10,000 units in the single most popular segment in the market. Dodge swung for the muscle crowd and missed, then swung for the mainstream and missed there too. If this autopsy is landing for you, a quick subscribe genuinely helps. Now, here is the part almost everyone gets wrong about why this happened. It is tempting to say the Daytona failed because it was electric, but that is not it. Fast electric cars sell just fine. Tesla built an empire on them. The Charger Daytona failed because Dodge deleted the wrong thing. It thought it was swapping a powertrain, a V8, for a battery. What it was actually doing was evicting a tribe. People never bought a Hellcat for the horsepower figure on a spec sheet. They bought the sound, the ritual, the belonging, the feeling of being part of the last loud thing in a quiet world. You cannot put that on a Charger overnight and expect the faithful to nod along. Dodge mistook the noise its customers loved for a feature it could simply replace. It was never a feature. It was the whole identity. And when the sales cratered, the brand's own CEO waved it off, insisting he was still bullish and that it was simply too early to judge. But the buyers had already judged, in the only language a company actually understands. They kept their wallets closed. And this is where the story turns from a bad year into something close to humiliation. In the first quarter of 2026, for the very first time, buyers could walk into a Dodge showroom and choose a gas Charger or an electric Charger. Same car, same floor. The gas version outsold the electric one 7-1. 1,672 gas Chargers against just 240 electric ones. The Daytona's sales down 88% in a year. By the middle of 2026, gas Charger sales had rocketed over 400% in a single quarter, and Stellantis now expects the gas versions to make up roughly 90% of all Charger sales. Dodge went into full retreat, cutting the 2026 electric lineup down to a single trim and postponing another, partly blaming the 25% tariff on the Windsor, Ontario plant where the car is built. The market's verdict could not have been louder. But here is the catch that makes even the comeback hollow. The gas Charger now supposedly saving Dodge is not the Hemi 5.8 that built this brand. It is a twin-turbo 6-cylinder, a genuinely capable engine, but 6 cylinders, not 8. And plenty of the loyalists Dodge is trying to win back never accepted that trade, which is exactly why Dodge has already been forced to promise that the V8 is coming back. Sit with what that means. Dodge killed the V8, watched its customers revolt, brought back a 6-cylinder as a peace offering, and still had to pledge the return of the engine it just spent 2 years trying to bury. And even now, the numbers are a shadow of what they were. Through the first half of 2026, Dodge sold around 4,500 gas Chargers total. The old Charger and Challenger used to move more than 20,000 in a single quarter. The only thing genuinely holding the brand upright is the Durango, a 16-year-old SUV design old enough to get its own driver's license. It moved more than 38,000 units in the first half of 2026, far more than everything electric Dodge sold combined, kept alive largely because you can still get it with a roaring V8, the one Dodge tried to kill. So step back and look at what actually happened. Dodge was not a weak brand with a bad product. It had the single hardest thing to build in this entire business, a loud, loyal, gasoline-soaked fan base that would buy almost anything with a V8 and an attitude. And it spent that loyalty, all of it, on one decision. It assumed its most traditional buyers would follow it somewhere they never asked to go, deleted the cars they loved, led with the one they didn't want, and taught its own fans that walking away was an option. That is the most expensive lesson in branding there is. Loyalty is nearly impossible to build, and it can be spent in a single year. And the rest of the Stellantis empire is now heading down the exact same road. So can the loudest brand in America survive after proving it never understood its own noise? Subscribe.